hello, hello, hello.
Yes, madam.
Hello, sir.
Yes, madam.
How are you?
Okay, madam.
How's life?
Life appears to be good.
Life appears
To be
when
good.
you peer into life. Okay, so our topic today is we're going to talk about taking things for granted. How we as people, you can have the nicest things in the world. After a certain period of time, you take it for granted. People do this with stuff, they do it with experiences, they do it with people. It's something that's very, very common. I want to explore, why do you think this happens?
Psychologically, or at least the brain function of it is we want to not waste time, not waste energy and attention. Taking it for granted is when you go to the bathroom, you know where your toothbrush is. Why your whole house, your own house feels so good. You have taken it for granted. I'm using the word slightly different. You've taken it that it's there. So the notion of taking it for granted is a permanency. That you don't have to look, you can reach out, it's there. So that's what taking it for granted means, right? We do that with things that cannot be taken for granted. And that's why the term taking it for granted happens. Again, let me put the perspective. I drive here, I know the road. After some time, I know the road. I know there's a turn, there's the traffic, there's the bump, there's the hole, there's the pothole, I know. And that knowing helps me not to pay attention. That knowing helps me to function automatically. Automatically. I just function automatically. So there's not much energy spent. So the inability to be attentive, inability to pay attention to something every moment creates the mind that needs to take things for granted. So you don't have to pay attention to it. Right? And when you do that with things that are not settled, things are not permanent, the notion of taking it for granted happens. Somebody loves you, you take it for granted, they will love you forever. Which means you switched off paying attention. You assume it will be there always. But also what happens when you take things for granted, it doesn't exist. You don't appreciate it. You lose awareness of it. You're just functioning. So the root of taking it for granted is what? Our inability to be here now, inability to pay attention to things moment to moment, our inability to be in a bit of an awake state. So taking it for granted is the same thing when you reach out and you see where your toothbrush is and probably call your mother and say, where's my toothbrush? She said, to the left a little bit. Oh. Because you expect it to be there. And whenever you expect and you almost believe it will always be there, it starts disappearing. It just becomes functional.
Yeah, because you said when you think something is permanent, but is anything really ever permanent?
Bingo. Thus, the teaching of moment to moment, being in the now, being present, being awake. You see, the thing is, I want you to understand this. So when you take something for granted, it doesn't exist. Let's say you have a beautiful car. I have a nice Bentley. After some time, I forget it's a Bentley. I remember the first time driving the car, testing it many years ago, and I'm like, whoa, look at this car. It's 5,000 over 6. It takes off, it floats in the air. I was like, my God. And the previous car was also a good car. Compared to that car, this car was a dream. Now, I don't remember until somebody tells me.
I know. Sometimes when we drive in that car and I see people looking at the car, I'm like, what are they looking at?
I don't even see that anymore. There are people looking at the car. Unless somebody I know come and said, wow.
I know, but then when I sit in my car park and I see this guy, my neighbor, he always looks, this is just random fun fact, he always looks so happy. Yeah? He's always smiling. He's with his girlfriend. They're hugging, kissing. Forever, they're holding some expensive bag. They just bought a second Ferrari. Oh my God. I stood there for 5 minutes as they were parking the car and I was like.
Yeah. But what happens? You lose the value of it too. It's as good as it's not there.
Yeah.
Hang on, follow carefully. Somebody lives in a 20-bedroom house with swimming pool and everything. After some time, it's almost equivalent to not having it. So taking it for granted is in a way of denying its existence, because to know its existence is to appreciate it.
Yeah.
Right? Now, why do we lose the appreciation? We use it to be unconscious. Can I use that word? We use it so we don't have to be attentive. Right? So, taking it for granted is missing that thing. If you have somebody who loves you, you take it for granted, you're missing it. You're missing it. You're not attentive. You have used that so you can remain unaware and unconscious. Right? Very carefully. I don't know whether I'm really hitting the topic, but it's definitely a topic. When you take something for granted, if you take for granted you will always have mother and father supporting you, you're actually abusing it. You are actually not enjoying it. You have used that to be lazy. You have used that to live without awareness. Follow?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, recently, like, my car got robbed, right?
Yeah.
Broken into. And the thing is, I'm so used to the safety I feel at
Right.
home. I've lived in the apartment we live in.
Right.
I've literally, back in the apartment, not the apartment which I live in now, which I lived in with you guys, I would have sometimes even left my key in the car, and I never even
Really?
felt that, like, oh, it's whatever.
Audience, I did not know that.
I mean, and in my apartment, I don't think about it. I feel safe. I will leave the car locked, unlocked, whatever. I don't think about it. And then suddenly when someone's gone and taken stuff in my car, I'm like, oh my God.
No, but you took it for granted.
I did. I took for granted the idea
And
of
not only you took
being
it for
safe.
granted, you use it to be lazy. You use it not to be aware.
Yeah.
You must follow this. Of course, we should know where our toothbrush is. We shouldn't every day walk in like a Zen master and look around the room and walk and pick the toothbrush. Have you seen the Zen tea ceremony? They drink tea. There's this elaborate effort, the elaborate ceremony, how they boil the water. They have a way how they put the tea inside. They wait. And then once they give you the tea, you can't just take it and gulp. You have to clean it, hold it, slowly go up, watch, go up, breathe the whatever, drink it in. What are they doing? They're saying, don't take it for granted. Then you enjoy it. Then you meet it. Then you are with it. It's like this. You have somebody that loves you. If you take it for granted, you're missing that love. You are using that love to be callous. You are using that love to be unaware. You're using that love to be in your la-la land. What happens? You're missing it. That's my first point. Next thing, when you take it for granted, you're going to lose it. But you didn't lock your car. You created the fantasy it's safe. Now you lost that safety.
Yeah.
And you need to lose that safety after this to be aware. But now it comes with a different price.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. So now slowly, yeah.
It comes with the price of me running from my car to the lift lobby and Lockie coming back, double checking, running back.
No, and hopefully it triggers an awareness. After this, you'll be more aware. So the feeling of safety that comes from carelessness, from taking it for granted, to the feeling of safety that comes with awareness, two different quality. One is setting up for disaster. One is actually, you are safe. So, like what you said, I quote what you said, is life anything permanent? Can you take anything for granted? Nothing whatsoever. Which means life demands us to be aware, to be conscious.
But that's what happens with people you love, especially the people you feel that you love the most, that will never leave you. Those are the people you can feel like, I can say anything to, I can do whatever to. I think one of my best friends, after he really felt he can say whatever to me, he can just be me and all of this to me, and I'm never gonna go anywhere because I never have gone anywhere.
Right.
But after a certain point, I'm like, no,
that will be the price.
Yeah, you're gonna lose me.
And you have to probably leave him, or that has to happen to him, for him to learn. Don't use the guarantee somebody give for you to be callous.
Yeah.
More so, the more you know somebody loves you, now the more aware you are. The person you are not that in love with, you don't have to be that
But
aware.
the thing is, that's not how humans act, though. We
Okay,
act.
why?
Yeah.
Why human don't hack? You know why? We want to conserve energy. We want to be callous. We want to be sleepy. We want to sleepwalk. We want to have nothing. What is the idea of success? When I made it, I don't have to get up in the morning. When I made it, I can just give into my biology. I can just live a Lululand. I can live. I can live like a unminded life. I can live carelessly. As I told somebody, he said, I want to be rich. Well, I said, Master, I said, why? I asked him, why? His answer, I said, you know why you want to be careless? After that, you can be an asshole. Because now you can do anything because you're rich that will buffer you. So you must understand there is an addiction in everybody to almost go primitive, to almost go wild, to almost go unconscious. People don't drink alcohol to be conscious. Maybe your first 2 glasses, it relaxes you. Afterward, they're drinking to be unconscious. You cannot take what he's saying when he's drinking. So first admit that there is a demand not to be aware. There is a demand to be callous. There is a demand, almost in our mind, the ideal of happiness is when I don't even have to be aware. Sometimes people say, I love my home, I'm homesick. No, you're sick at home. Because at home, you don't have to be anything. You know where everything's are. You can almost function with half a brain in your home. So that's what you want. You want a state where there is nothing challenged. You want a state where awareness is not demanded. And I'm saying a state without awareness is a sleep state.
But there's a fine line, right? Like if you think about like people and comforts, like with your loved ones, like with my friend, let's just use this as an example. I am the space where I want to hold that space where you don't have to pretend. You can just be yourself. You don't have to like put on a show the way we have to do with strangers. But on the flip side, why is that the case? Like, yes, you can be you and you can relax around me. But why is being you and relaxing around me also come at the expense of
You have
me?
become that person's prop to remain unconscious. You have become the person who's telling them you don't have to be aware. You have become the person who's telling them you don't have to be present.
But also, isn't that
Is
like
that
if
what
they
you
didn't
offer?
if they didn't abuse it, right?
No, is that what you're offering them? You must tell, no, that's not what I'm offering you.
No, but like what I'm saying is that like if they didn't abuse it, having a boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, best friend that you have where you
It's
can
precious.
it's precious, but you don't have to even be conscious. You can just be relaxed.
No, you have to be conscious. You see? You are saying, you're again telling, oh, if I'm precious to you, you can just, what? Piss in the hall? This is what you're saying. You're saying, oh, if you love me, just be you. To me, if you love me, behave. You don't have to be tense to behave around me. Be aware, I'm here. I love you, I can stop loving
I
you.
think if we look at the idea of effort, right? We put in less effort with those that we love because we feel like we don't have to. But you meet a stranger, you put in a little bit more effort to be nice, to be on. But why is it that we operate in this way versus the other way?
Good question. Because in here, the person hasn't been converted for you to be unconscious. That other person, you have used them to be unconscious. Like your home, no matter how beautiful it is, after some time you lose appreciation because you have used that to be unconscious. First, there is a demand to be unconscious, and we think being unconscious is rest. We don't understand being conscious is rest.
I think that's what it is.
But it's like this, you will meet people. If you are good to them, you love them, they will be relaxed around you. And they will not a moment behave in a way to abuse that. By right, that is the person you can love forever. That is the person forever you love. So, can I say this? It's a very, there's many compartments to this discussion. Can I say, most people show all the attention to get close to people, and then once that is established, they remain unconscious, they remain unappreciative. The other day, I was driving the car and I was thinking, where was the magic feeling I had? Where was that magic feeling? I even forgot. No, the car like floats. It's very beautiful. I was like, where is that feeling? I got used to it. Because you know why? Now Prem drives me, I sit at the back. Now I've forgotten. It has become something else for me. It has become something I don't have to be conscious of. But in a case of a car, that's what it's supposed to be. It's a tool for me. You understand? But I must never forget. It's a great car. I must never forget. Right? But follow this. Maybe the real topic is, are we using the other to remain unconscious? We are looking for people to love us so deeply that I can be unconscious of my role, my part to uphold it. Granted is something is guaranteed. The moment is guaranteed, I don't have to put in an effort. It's like those days they have, government servants are guaranteed a pension. They become careless because there's guarantee. That means there are not going to be a response. There's not going to be a feedback. It's given. The problem with love is it gives this guarantee forever. It should, but everybody must know you cannot take it for granted. You cannot. You have a cat. You can take it for granted. You can leave it for months.
No.
There's every day, don't you appreciate it? Oh my God, Jackie.
Yeah, but like some things I feel like, even like my apartment, right? My apartment is so beautiful. Like I always look at my apartment and I'm like, oh my God, this apartment is like so beautiful.
Her dad helped her to get it done, by this. Just for the audience to know. Okay.
It's literally the most beautiful apartment. But I don't feel like that's an apartment that I take for granted. It's something I can like appreciate. It's how beautiful it is. Like
No, you
every
can be
day.
unconscious of it. I'm not saying you walk around looking for a toothpaste and toothbrush every day. But it should not be to an extent of abuse. Rest is not unconscious. Rest must not kill consciousness. Rest must include consciousness. I must know who matter. I must know what matters. I know what is at stake. For granted simply means it's so guaranteed you can abuse it. Then we say, please don't take me for granted. Then it feels like we are not having a relationship. Like I'm your dad. You must take me for granted. No matter what you do, I'll be your dad. That's given. No, you cannot do anything for me to feel
No,
like
but what I can't take for granted is that you are always going to be there to do everything for me.
There we go. And that we have learned over time. I'm just your dad. I'm not anything more. I'm
No, it's
just
like
your dad.
one of my best friends now, her father is like, he's has cancer and he's dealing with it. And I can see like the biggest thing she has to face is this idea that her dad is this strong, big, perfect person that's always going to be there. And now that is so shaken. And
he should have been shaken years ago, not when he's older and he's having cancer.
But I think it's like, it's almost you're too afraid to even look at that fact.
No, you have abused it. You have used that to create a false reality. Right? Sometime when you all were studying in America, that was deliberate, even though we supported you financially, but you're on your own. Like the day I was telling somebody, about you and me. I said, I'm just a dad. That's all. I'm not the most important thing in her life. Of course, she loves me. I love her. She's the most important thing in my life. I don't have to be. And the thing is, it's like a false reality, a lie. Right? And that is also taking it for granted. You were not told the truth. Somebody made a false promise. It's like this. One thing I can tell you, that is my own experience. If you love somebody, you tell them, I will love you as long as you can be loved. If you cannot be loved, I can't love you. So you must hold yourself. Why I fell in love with you? The reason you have to live it. The day you quit that, I might have to quit too. You understand? For granted simply means no matter what I do, it's guaranteed. How many things are there? Maybe your parents love, probably love. But other than that, and even that your parents are flawed. Your parents are mortals. Your parents have every weaknesses a human being have, right? It's like when a baby is a child, the dad is the hero, the mom is the heroine. Somewhere they know they are not. They're just people, right? They're just people. Now, slowly, huh? You see, in order even to understand this question, one must become very aware. So people are unable to be aware, right? And if you cannot be aware, at least be conscious, mindful, right? Even that they don't want to be. So what are they doing? They're trying to escape effort. And if I say you have to put in effort, then people say, oh, I want a situation where there is no effort. That means you are worshipping laziness. Right? You're worshipping laziness. You're worshipping...
I guess you want it to be easy, but it can't be easy without effort.
So you invested all that so it can be easy for you? You were so nice in the beginning, then you used me as a tool.
That always happens though. That is how it generally goes.
No, then it's over. Then it's over. If you're sitting in a Ferrari and you can't be conscious it's a Ferrari, I guess you don't have a Ferrari even though you are in a Ferrari. Do you see that part of it? You lose it too. You lose the nourishment it gets too.
But I wonder how it happens. Even like when I go into my favorite part of my house, which is my closet, and look at all my handbags, look at all my shoes, I just feel so happy. I feel so happy.
See the look on her?
I love it. But how do you come to the point where you can look at those things that made you so happy and you don't feel it anymore?
Then you must find something that doesn't change. So you know the handbag and whatever is inside the closet, it's just...
I mean, it's just stuff. But
then you place it like that.
Yeah.
So then you place life rightly. You prioritize life rightly.
Yeah, if someone asked me to choose Jackie or my handbags, it would be a tough choice, but I choose my handbags. No, of course I would choose Jackie. That's a shocked look on his face.
When Jackie sees this episode, he's going to be traumatized. He's going to leave you.
Luckily, he's French. He doesn't speak English.
He's going to go be a street cat. No, slowly. What are we talking about here? What are we talking about? I think taking stock, being aware, being conscious, and guaranteed does not promote awareness. Guarantee does not promote being conscious, right? And whenever it's guaranteed, it's taken for granted. But I think what is taking for granted is you made it a guarantee. Do you know you like somebody? How long does it last? It's fragile. What people don't understand is a statement you made. There is nothing guaranteed. Which means we have to be on our toes a little bit. We have to be quite mindful. We have to be alert. We have to be aware. So there is a demand to be unaware. We think awareness is work, unawareness is rest. I want you to challenge that statement. I want you to make awareness rest. Unawareness is hell. Like somebody, if you have a friend, they must be aware of you. How can they abuse you? The moment they abuse you, they're saying there's no value to you. I don't appreciate you. You are just a tool for me to be unconscious. That friendship ends. Like in Indian marriage, olden days, you are not allowed to use the word I. Na, cannot use. They always say number, nanga, we. We are the original French. You know why? Even a moment you use the word I, it's a divorce. You separate it. You know? And sometimes you go to some Indian house, they will call the husband, they'll call by the son's father. Oh, if the son's name is, I don't know, Bob, Or Bob's father is not in the house. I'll say, I don't know who's Bob. I don't know who's his father. I'm looking for this man who's your husband. Yeah, Bob's father is my husband. You go like, oh. So there is this etiquette, and which is very restful. Which is very, 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 very restful. I think the issue is we have been seduced to be unaware. We have been told that unawareness is rest. And we look for why people dream about holidays. Because in holiday, you don't get up 7 o'clock in the morning, shave, shower, put a tie on and get into work. Because in a holiday, you can put a shirt, eat anytime you want, sleep, lie in the beach. So you are celebrating being unaware. Right? You are celebrating being unaware. I am not saying don't go to the holiday. But it should not be a celebration of unawareness. It should be a celebration of different awareness. Resting.
So your mother's trying to come in, reminding you to stay aware that she is your mother. Should we ask her to come and say hi? Pati, come say hi. Come say hi. Come here, Pati. Come.
We're going to introduce my mother to the world.
Call
her. Pretty.
If you want to know all the source of his trauma, here she comes.
I didn't even wear sari. That's camera.
Come this side, Pati, this side.
Yeah.
Yeah, come down a bit. Oh, it's okay. I'll move the camera up.
There. Say hello.
There she is. She's
saying if you told, I would have put makeup on it. Okay, ma.
Okay, thanks, Pati.
Thank you very much.
Okay, let's get back into it.
So we are talking about the human dilemma between conscious, unconscious, being aware and being unaware. We have labeled awareness as work and effort. In order to break from that work and effort, we choose to become unaware. And part of the unawareness is taking it for granted.
But some people yes. And I think a lot of people, I've noticed this in my friends and all of that, is that they are almost like willfully unconscious, and it's like used as like, oh, I don't know. How would I know that? I didn't know. I wasn't paying attention. And you're just like, but how can you not pay attention?
No, you see, they need to leave their car unlocked and bar. And they need to get robbed once or twice. Then suddenly they become very wise.
They took my freaking driver's license. I have to go to the JPJ.
And that's what you need. So your friends might have to lose you as a friend for them not to lose their next friend. So now are you supporting them remaining unconscious, or are you promoting awareness? Are you a friend for them to wake up to awareness, or are you the comforter? I remember when I was in 70s now, by a vague memory, I was 6, 7 years old, in front of my grandfather's shop. My grandfather owned this big shop, big place. There was a Chinese, like a shop, a Chinese run. And it was an opium den. I remember walking in there and watching people lying on a kind of a bench and smoking the opium. The kind of thing is smelly. And there are people who, after they smoke the opium, they get stoned. There are people who cover them, take care of them. If they vomit, they clean them up, they give them water. And I was like, wow, what is this? Is that the person you want to be?
No.
So what are we? Are we promoting awareness? Like you talk about anti-racism, you talk about all this prejudice. You are telling people to be aware. Right? If you leave it to people, in order to be lazy, I just label you a race. Racism is a kind of laziness, a kind of unawareness. That you group an entire race of people to one. So now the question, and we are landing in the question, I'm sorry, this episode. Are you a friend of awareness? Are you supporting unconsciousness? If you support unconsciousness, you are supporting drug addiction, racism, Because it's easy. It's so easy. One look, I don't have to look at you. Indian, you Chinese, you Malay. That's easy. You take it for granted, or you are all the same. Take it for granted. Do you know in China, I was studying some time ago about the economic. At one time, they found out the reason for things to be bad. If you're a government servant, you cannot be sacked. You can be moved around. You cannot be sacked. You are guaranteed for life. And because they are so guaranteed, they take it for granted. They don't do the job. Right? So there must be a situation, nothing is guaranteed. You know why I love going to the ocean? I always say it's the most honest place to be. Whenever I'm in the sea, sailing, fishing, whatever I'm doing, I love it. I once went with Andesh, it's like a champion, like a sailing champion in Sweden, And he had this proper sailboat with high speed. It was one hell of a trip. It's the most honest place because it doesn't guarantee anything.
Yeah.
You see blazing sun, clear water, perfect wind, we are floating. Next moment you turn around, a storm is coming.
Yeah.
So there's nothing guaranteed. And how come we can still rest in there? How come we can still live? I love that uncertainty. It keeps me in my toes. I always say when I'm in the boat, I have the best sleep, but I sleep with one eye open.
You
cannot
so
sleep
well.
to the extent that you don't hear something. You wake up. You know a storm is brewing. Follow. Let me try to get the point across. I love the honesty of it because nothing is guaranteed. You can't take anything for granted. You hook a big fish, let's say you hook a Spanish mackerel, tangiri, this big, then there might be no fish at all. The next moment you will see a school running. So there is no guarantee. When we go fishing, the captain always say, I will try my best, but I cannot guarantee. It might be like one hell of a catch or might be zero. But how come we can enjoy that? So we are built to live in awareness now. What has happened? False guarantee. These are the goddamn politicians. These are the people who promise everything will be great again. They are feeding you to be unconscious. If somebody asks, Appa, what will happen after I die? I will say, don't know. I don't know. There's so many things people are saying. You ask me, even if I know, I won't tell you. Because then you will use that to be careless of life. So now, follow this. There's two parts of me. The part of me that wants to be careless, wants to just pig out, go, and if I've labeled that happiness, then I gravitate there. I can also label awareness as happiness. You know what is being in love with somebody? I choose to be aware. Do you know what is to have a friend? Aware. I'm aware of you at all times. And I'm rested. Like I said, Tim and Debbie came, they did the ceremony. I was handling 2 cameras, but that was like a nightmare. The day before was your shoot. It was so much work. I was sweating. I said, I want to quit. Bring a cameraman, but I don't mind. He's my boy. Debbie is somebody I care very much about. The kids, I love them.
3 monsters.
Of course, the 3 monsters. So I'm shooting as the best I could. I don't take it for granted that that's how it is. Especially with the boys. I must invest. I must pay attention. Parents take their children for granted. How many children, my mom is here. How many children is going to grow up at the older age and say, oh, I really love my parents? You are conditioned to say, but will you? I'm worried, every day that you might grow up someday and say, I cannot take it for granted, but I have to be on my toes, and I want to.
Okay, before we end, we are prone to this as humans. I think we can establish that, right?
Agreed.
We are prone to look at our husbands, wives, our girlfriends, boyfriends, best friends, and say, I love you. I'm comfortable that you're never going to leave, so I'm going to be a little shitty to you. How do we remind ourselves?
This way. Let me interrupt you. We can put on weight. Can we?
Yeah.
So we remain conscious. We have a weighing scale. Right? We exercise. And we do it happily.
Sometimes, lah.
Yeah. Right? So we don't abuse. So taking it for granted is abusing oneself and the other. But I leave you with this, Are you for awareness? Are you against awareness? My entire life's work has been to awaken awareness. I am for awareness. I am for awareness, and I'm really against unawareness. So I have decided my battle. In the Hindu ceremony, and they do this hand like this. They do this hand. At one point, you do the Ganesha puja, you put your hand like this. You know what it means? I made a conclusion. I made a decision which direction I want to flow. Right? So now, you are debating whether you want to go with awareness or you're going to support unawareness. I think today's discussion, you are for awareness. Right?
Yeah.
But I know you haven't resolved. Maybe sometime you can be
Yeah, sometimes
unawareness.
I want to be lazy a bit.
Okay, and I let you. It's like once a week is a cheat day.
Yeah.
6 days is on diet, right? But again, I bring it
I
back
have
to
no
bring
cheat
it back
days,
to the subject
actually.
you are passionate about Palestine, about killing the children. Are you for awareness?
Of course.
And that rests my case.
TQ, 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 TQ.
TQ, 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 TQ.